So let's get right into this, because what's happening right now in the heart of Europe's economy, it's honestly one of the biggest, most unexpected stories of the decade. We're talking about a $1 trillion bet that could completely redefine a nation. It all kind of kicks off with this one sentence that, wow, it should send a chill down the spine of anyone paying attention. For the first time in 87 years, Volkswagen is actually thinking about closing factories in Germany. That hasn't even been on the table since before World War II. But this isn't just about cars. No way. This is a massive warning flare for the entire economy.
And that warning flare, it's really just the tip of the iceberg. It points to a much, much deeper problem that's been plaguing Europe's biggest economy. We're talking a crisis so profound, it has forced a nation famous for its discipline to do something totally, completely out of character.
And this brings us to what's really the central paradox of this whole story. How did a country that built its entire identity on financial prudence find itself in a position where it had to just throw its own rulebook out the window?
To really get what's going on here, you have to understand the Schuldenbremse, or the debt brake. Now, this isn't just some casual policy, it's literally written into their constitution. It's a sacred promise to not spend more than you earn. For decades, that was the absolute bedrock of their economic identity.
And its importance went way beyond Germany's borders. This rule made Germany the financial anchor of the Eurozone. They were the fiscally responsible adult in the room that everyone else could rely on.
And then this happens. 500 billion euros. Just let that number sink in. That's the price tag on a new spending plan. A number so massive it completely shatters the very idea of the debt brake. It's a fiscal U-turn of absolutely historic proportions.
Which, of course, leads us to the crucial question. What could possibly be so serious that it would force the world's most frugal nation to abandon its most deeply held principle and go on an unprecedented spending spree? Well, the answer is that Germany wasn't hit by just one crisis. It was hit by two at the exact same time. It was a perfect economic storm that threatened to tear the whole system apart, a crisis on two separate fronts. So, on one front, you had the energy shock, the sudden total loss of all that cheap Russian gas, which had been the fuel for Germany's industrial machine for decades, just gone. Then, on the other front, a crisis was brewing at home. This slow, painful realization that the country's very own foundation was cracking. And this isn't some abstract idea. We are talking about literal physical decay. Bridges across the country are in such bad shape they can't support heavy traffic. And in the digital age, its broadband internet speeds are embarrassingly far behind its neighbors. And here's the real irony. That very same debt brake, the rule designed to keep the country financially healthy, it may have been starving the country's physical body for decades by preventing all the necessary investment. So the bottom line is this. Germany, the powerhouse, the engine of Europe, was trying to run a 21st century economy on fumes and a foundation that was literally crumbling from the 20th century. Something had to give. So what was their solution? It wasn't some careful, measured response. Oh no, it was an audacious, incredibly high-stakes gamble on the country's entire future.
The plan is as bold as it is risky. First, you break the most sacred rule in the book. Second, you unleash €500 billion to fix everything from energy to digital infrastructure. And third, you basically hope this is enough to completely rewire your entire economic engine for a new era.
So the crucial point here is that this isn't just about patching up a few bridges or finding new gas suppliers. This is a nation attempting to fundamentally reinvent itself, right in the middle of a crisis, making a colossal bet that massive debt today will somehow secure prosperity for tomorrow. Which leaves us with the final trillion-dollar question. Is this the birth of a new German miracle, one that's adapted for the modern world? Or is it the moment the backbone of Europe finally cracks under the weight of its own gamble? The stakes really couldn't be any higher.